Hello DOA, this is my tutorial for how to draw oscillators. I'm just doing this off the cuff, so if it's a little rough, I apologize. I created an init preset that has no waveform here because we're going to draw everything. So first we want to set this to random phase to 0. Then we're going to go into the pencil tool. This is going to open up our waveform editor. We have nothing here. Normally you would see all your frames kind of laid out here. I'm going to add bin 1, which is fundamental frequency, creating a sine. Now, sine's not good for bass because there's no harmonics, and you need harmonics, otherwise in an acoustic environment the bass becomes inconsistent in certain places. So we're going to give it a little harmonic 2, harmonic 3. You can see it's starting to shape up. Take away a little 2. Now it has made it bulge a little bit more, which means that the speaker is going to be at either extreme for a longer period of time and take a shorter path from each extreme to the other in its slope. It's got a little bit more of a rise time, a little bit more thrust to how the speaker moves through this curve. So here we go. You can hear it's got a little bit more chunk, for lack of a better term. But that's not going to be enough. So what we're going to do is change this to 0, change this to 0. And what this is going to allow us to do, once we click here, is freehand this. Just do little guys here. Oh, we got a spike there. Another one here. Oh, what's that? I don't know. It's a waveform. And a pretty meaty one at that. Excellent. So, you've created a bass tone. Your best bass tones are going to always move in kind of a single wave, somewhat resembling a sine or a square. A pure square gives you too much information and you got to filter it down, and when you do that it becomes closer to a sine. So keep that in mind. A sine shape is a good general shape for sub bass. You can then filter it, but it will then become a sine again. So you want a nice smooth curve, signifying that the speaker is continually traveling in and out, not making abrupt changes along its path. That will give you a smooth sub bass. Then we take these little chunks out of it to give it a little more distortion. In addition to that, one of my favorite tricks now is to use this noise tool, and then we're going to set this grid to 1 by 1. And if you click here and you have noise all the way up, it's going to make it look like that. Crap, right? What are you going to do with that? Nothing. But as you scroll down while you're holding the button, what's happening? Oh, it's beginning to emerge again. What is that? Oh, it's all fuzzy now. What is happening? I don't know. Okay. This is very handy, and I would highly recommend just about everybody put just a tiny bit of fuzz here. This is not actual real noise. This is just extra harmonic content. So when the filter bites down, it's got a little bit more up high to work with. Good. Now we're going to make this our primary frame, we're going to call it. That's what I call it. Frame number 1. This is our baseline tone that we're going to come back to when we want the bass to take over. Our next frames are going to be a little more experimental. We can, for example, maybe use one of these squarify. Okay, now it makes it a little more squared. It looks like it removed the even harmonics up top. Yep. 5, 7, 9. All the evens are gone, which squarifies the sound. But maybe that one could be number 3 because I want one in between that is a little more spicy, a little more crazy, right? Not too much noise, but something like this maybe. So that then we have our 3 sounds. This one's more squarey. This one is crazy. This one is more standard. But they're all unique in their own way. Then we come here. We select them all, first of all. Then we come here. We do either crossfade or spectral. I don't really do the other ones. If you want to, you can. But these are the ones I like. We'll do crossfade in this case. Now this is going to give us 256. It's interpolating all the frames between these 3 positions. This one is first, this one is last, this one's somewhere in the middle. Smack dab in the middle, actually. So, and if you go back here, now you can see a 3D representation of the interpolation process and the frames that is created between the ones that you created. This isn't always going to sound good at first. You need to do some extra stuff after this, but you can really get crazy here. That's maybe not even the best example that I've ever come up with, but next you obviously would put a ton of distortion on it. Somewhere like 90% or something like that. Okay, so far so good. Now we can take this. We'll create a copy of it. We'll paste it there. It's going to travel along the same path that is defined by this breakpoint envelope filter. Breakpoint LFO that will define like a custom one. So it'll do something cool, like, let's say, and then like down like that, and then maybe it'll go up again before coming back down. All right. Oh, too fast. Slow it down. Getting probably feedback from my mic. Apologies about that. But you can hear that. Now, you can see this one is set to filter 1. I'm going to set this other one to filter 2. Filter 1 can be relatively unobstructed by by any filtering, but filter 2 should actually have a high pass on it to move the low frequencies of oscillator B out of the way of the low frequencies of oscillator A, which will be the predominant sub oscillator. So can also give us an extra octave. Turn this down a little bit. Because this has an extra octave, it is reinforcing the bass sound. You can kind of blend these two till you get something you really like. In my opinion, that's pretty good. About 160 is where I'll put this filter. Then I will give this many voices. And one cool thing I like to do is change this drop down to per voice. Edit the voicing, and you can kind of spread them out arbitrarily however you like. Just don't group them up too much, or maybe do. I don't know. It's up to you. We'll just kind of go like that. There we go. All right, good enough. This top one. and this will just freeze it. Instead, you don't get that phase rotation as much because all the voices are stacked in an exact same position and just repeat over and over again. So much more consistent. And there's no randomness here, so pretty cool. You can decrease the detune to get a little more tone out of it, or you can, if you want a little more like detuned Reese quality, you got it by turning that up. So in addition, you could bring a third oscillator into the mix. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. Really kind of up to you. This filter 2 part, I would maybe look into investigating with a bandpass. You know, do some cool stuff there. Multiple things being modulated by the same LFO can be really cool. Or in opposite directions. You can also do, let's see, opposing wavetable position directions. That's putting the squarify version of this bass in the original oscillator first and then scrubbing backwards and forwards. Really, the potential is sort of limitless here. I didn't spend a ton of time designing this preset as well as I might, but you get the idea here. This can make some pretty cool stuff. You might even want to, you know, maybe put a low pass filter on oscillator 1 to help remove some of the higher harmonics so that oscillator B can take over. I would probably turn this up a little bit more. So then also at the end, usually it's just a distortion, an EQ. You can probably put some chorus in there. That'd be good too. Take out some of those muddy frequencies here. But you'll notice that this has a consistent level as far as, oh, this might be pulling down a little bit more. Okay, so one way, if you find that your filters are conflicting with each other, I would suggest moving this off to none and then bus 2. And then coming back over here and putting a high pass filter on bus 2. Or you could use bus 1, whatever. Here. Then bus 2 feeds back into main. So what you really want to avoid is that low frequency cancellation. You'll notice it because your meter will visibly dip quite significantly, even though to your ear it sounds like still out. So just pay attention to how consistent your volume levels are. And when you look at the spectrum analyzer here, you'll see nice, good 40 hertz E signal. That's a lot of bass. So no shortage of low frequency content. Then maybe you might want to, you know, record this and resample it again, chop it up, do all kinds of stuff to it. That's sort of the gist of it, I guess. If you have any questions, you know where to get a hold of me. I'm on DOA. Peace.